welcome everybody to another AIU podcast with another incredible guest talking about another timeless technology that is going to change the future. We're talking about artificial intelligence, everybody. You all know what we do here. I have an amazing guest with us today on the AIU podcast, Mr. Jeremy Treadwell. He is a Treadwell is a trailblazer in the AIU space. It's not AIU's, in the AI space, AI Universal, AI space. And he has been for a very, very, very long time. We're very lucky and very fortunate to have him on the pod today. Jeremy, say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? I'm so honored and so grateful to be here. Thank you, Tremain. Your leadership in this space is definitely unmatched.
Yeah, man. This is, well, listen, thank you. That is such a compliment coming from you. And you guys will see what I'm saying as we get more and more into this conversation. Jeremy has just done so much in this space. Brother, I look up to you, man, and really, 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 as I'm doing stuff in the AIU, and I keep saying AIU, so y'all aren't confused. AIU stands for AI Universal. That is the company, that is the name of the podcast. So when I say AIU, just please give me grace, guys. I'm talking about AI. So in the AI space, what I'm trying to say is we have royalty here, and I really respect everything that you represent because you take such a people-first approach when it comes to the technology. You really are concerned with how this technology lands on communities and how it impacts society. You have that thought process. And you're a coder. You're a technical guy. You're not just a guy that's talking about it, from the podium. You can actually get dirty, get your hands dirty too, and build some of this stuff as well, which makes you a dual threat. So I'm very excited to have you on the pod and get some of your expertise and experience and insights on where this industry is going. So, all right, first question. Where is this industry going? Where are we going? And I know that's a very outside question, especially when you're talking about 20 years. Nobody knows because it's happening too fast. So tell me about the next 12 months in AI. What do you think?
I'd rather do the 12-year question.
Okay. All right. But very ambitious of you.
Let me qualify that because I'm a certified futurist.
Okay.
So I have been trained in the space of seeking signals of change. And I have to be clear, and you called it out in the introduction, yes, my training, while I am a technologist at heart, I'm still a humanitarian, right? As we all should be, all seeking for the plight of the human race, for the plight of our humanness to be of value, for all humans to be valued, and for all of our futures to be secure, both socially, economically, financially, spiritually as well as emotionally, right? So that is the baseline. We are all humans. We are all here together. We only have one planet that we know of to date. Even though Disclosure Day was an interesting film, it led to a lot of places if you haven't seen it. But the real answer to the question, where are we going to be 12 years from now, is still here. AI will not replace humans. We still will exist as a species, as, really contributions to this society. But I really want to highlight one key component that I think we don't spend enough time talking about is the future is uncertain, which means things can change. One of my favorite examples of this is Isaac Asimov, who wrote I, Robot, also wrote another series called Foundation. There's a series on Apple TV based off the book. And in the books, they preface, mind you, this is, centuries from now, in a galactic human, kind of, what's what I'm looking for? Empire. In a galactic human empire, he casually, mind you, Tremain, this is not a part of the book. This is not prevalent to the story at all. He casually stated, humans tried robots about 3 centuries ago. Didn't work. We destroyed them all. And then we went forward. Now, that's not pertaining specifically to AI, but I think as a culture, as a society, right, the human race is so young that we haven't even gotten to the point of building something, deeming it unfit for us, and relinquishing it as a concept. Every technology production that we've had to date, we've amassed, we've used, we've built on top of. So imagine, stand with me now, 200 years from now, as a society, say, one of the things I talk about is ubiquitous computing. Why do we need phones? Why do we need screens? Right? We're going to integrate, right? I know we'll get to the singularity at some point, but the idea here is that there will be a point where the iPhone is no longer relevant, where the Android phone is no longer relevant. We no longer need a phone device. Our computers are baked into our everyday things. We're starting to see this with the smart washer and dryer and the smart, all of these different smart devices around us. But the reason we label it as smart is because everything else is dumb. Once everything becomes smart, then we no longer need the moniker of Smart X. So, standing from the future, technology is an enablement, but soon it will become passive. Everything that we have will be embedded, right? Every car will be solar. Everything will be connected. There will be no disconnection. But I can't say the same for the human race. Not yet.
My gosh, dude, you y'all see what I'm talking about, right? Y'all see what I'm talking about. We 3 minutes into the pod, man. 3 minutes into the pod, and you already are blowing my mind here, man. Oh my goodness. You have just challenged my thinking. Like I mean, you know how once you're exposed, you can't be once in the matrix, you can't get out once you've been exposed.
That's my favorite movie.
Once you've been unplugged, you just unplugged me, man. Like I've just been unplugged. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine a future? And it's funny because we don't even consider it. What if, 100, 200 years from now, we tried robots, we tried AI and it didn't work for us, what? Who that boom, this is really, really
and evolve.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think, something that's baked into what you're saying, which I think is really good, is that one way or another evolution happens. You know what I mean? We're going to evolve. We're going to get a higher, whatever, consciousness as a people, as a human race. That's going to happen.
Right.
How that happens is not necessarily locked in stone. Just because AI is the new hot thing, nobody can really regulate it right now. It's happening so fast. It's cool. It's interesting. You can build widgets. You can do so many things. So it seems like this has to be the next thing, but maybe it's not. Or maybe it's the next thing in another way that somebody has not even imagined yet.
Exactly.
Oh.
And I think another analogy that comes to mind is thinking about the radio wave. That has been, and forgive me for going almost apologist, the radio wave has been a part of the physicality of this world and every other world that we can think of, right? Yeah, even out in outer space, forever. But mankind only figured it out around the time of the radio.
Right.
We're still using radio waves for Wi-Fi. And we don't know how to clean radio waves. So if you go out by Mars, I'm sure you've all heard this, if you go out by Mars just hanging out and you have a radio receptor, you might hear a radio broadcast from 1923.
Because
you might receive a data packet from 1996. So the idea that our physical universe is imbued with properties that it took us, as humans, 1,000 years to even understand, let alone utilize.
Yeah.
How much more will this intellect lead to? What other facets, right? We talk about quantum a little bit, right? And qubits and this kind of interstate where I can be disconnected but still connected. I was reading something that Einstein called that spooky. Einstein can refer to something as spooky, one of the smartest humans of all time.
Sure.
So the fact that to the point, these are stepping stones. The AI is just the latest stepping stone to what humanity has become and what it will become. And if you haven't seen this movie, it's Halle Berry, hold on, Moonfall is the name of the film. It's a wonderful foresight example of what can happen to humanity. But I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, and for the audience as well.
No, I have not. Is this new or is this something that's been out?
2023.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Newish.
Yeah, newish. Yeah. We'll have to check it out. I have not seen it, so please don't ruin it. I will go watch.
But watch. I'd love to see some comments. I'd love to see some posts on socials. How that film, viewing that from a foresight perspective, how that changes There's a there's a I'll just say this: we not that we may not be alone, we may not be the first to do it, but just because right we uncover it later, now we have a chance to reconcile who we are and our identity and our place in this universe from the standpoint of hindsight of seeing, hey, we may not be the first to do it, but we can do it better. We can evolve on it. We can grow and shift. So if I had to really bring all the way back into your question,
Sure.
what's happening 12 months from now and to 12 years from now? The answer, of course, is uncertain, but I do believe that the answer is in our ability as humans to cognitively think, to pursue something relentlessly and endlessly, and evolve in that process. Evolve in that process. So I do challenge humanity in this moment to evolve, to be mindful of where we are, to be thinking about things. And we live in an increasingly data-led society, which I don't view as a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we're relying on AI to provide us with that data. But the one thing AI can't give us is that meaning. And so as we transport ourselves through time and space and our emotions and our evolution, we have to continue to define our own meaning, whether that be culturally, whether that be nationality, whether that be ethnically, whatever lens you want to apply. How can AI serve? How can AI, as a data aggregation tool, provide and serve intel that we can apply as humans for output?
Man, this is so good. I mean, and oh man, you just again, I'm being unplugged here because I've fashioned myself as a big thinker, as a big idea guy, these types of things. So I can handle what you're saying, but just the shift in thinking and insights that I'm picking up from what you're putting down is just mind blowing. It's like I'm gonna have to take some time after this podcast to just think through what you're saying here because it is so foundational to us as humans. You know what I mean? And it's hidden in a way that I don't think anybody is really thinking about. You know what I mean? Because we get so caught up in what's happening right now, the new widget, the new app that comes out, those types of things. But if you bake everything, I mean, AI, quantum, all this big stuff that everybody's saying, it could be endless. We don't know, blah, blah, blah. And if you package all that up into a bigger thought process as to, wait a minute, all of this could just be a small stepping stone to the next thing. You know what I mean? That is such a great insight. And there is proof in human history of that exact thing happening. That is not an outlier. I mean, it's sort of a contrarian kind of thought process, but it's not an outlier. This is how history happens. This is how men evolve. I mean, even to get to AI, you had to have the convergence of things like internet, Wi-Fi, cell phones. There's some technologies that had to stack on top of each other.
Exactly.
To get to even what we're talking about today, which is exactly as big as we thought cell phones are. I mean, that was literally just the stepping stone of having information in everybody's pocket. It was a way to get information out and to everybody, to a billion people in their home. It just became a distribution thing that was the stepping stone to the next thing, So when we went from landline phones to cell phones, everybody thought it was the end of the world, when internet, it was the end of the world. And as big as we thought those things were, these are just stepping stones to get to today. So I am a believer, man. I'm on the Treadwell train right now, man. So all right, let's catch the people up on who Jeremy Treadwell is, because I think that there's a through line here that I like to connect to, because the thought process that he is exhibiting here for the people that are watching is not something that just happened overnight. You know what I mean? So I love for you to talk a little bit about your background and then maybe right after that you can connect it to, how you've been able to develop, being a futurist, just kind of coming to the sort of, place of where you are in terms of how you're thinking about things. Well, so background first, and then I think that would connect the dot into the current conversation.
Absolutely. No, I'll do it this way. I saw this really cool thing on social media about how to change how you introduce yourself. And I love the concept of introducing myself through the future.
Okay.
And so I will say that, I, again, Jeremy Treadwell here, I am excited to get a chance to build the future of humanity through the lens of the technology and our partnership with technology to induce and create and track both human flourishing and information to wisdom, maturity, to understanding how that get a chance to work together. And so, in the work that I do today, I'm currently a professor of management at Bowie State University. I'm currently pursuing a PhD, and as well as I'm a founder and co-founder of a cybersecurity business named Simcia Security, and we focus on the human element of cybersecurity and helping businesses to really think about the risk through the human factor. And I think because of my work being intersectioned between humanities, understanding how humans think, how organizations function, and how people work towards goals, which has a lot to do with my teaching, because I'm able to connect the dots from moving from education to the workforce, and also having a strong technology background. I have an undergrad in not quite computer science, but it's in that realm, in development and engineering, and being able to build computer and digital systems from the ground up for major consulting firms at a global scale. And so those two convergences have allowed me to operate in this space where my goal is to truly help humanity drive forward and view the big, long tail, as they say, the long range of what we are able to accomplish if we just found a way to work together, but also how we can leverage technology to do so.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So I've never heard anybody introduce themselves from a future standpoint. So that was a great futurist way of introducing yourself. I would expect nothing less. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. So we've talked, and I mean, we've had a 15-minute conversation. I just feel like it's been so robust up to this point. I don't know how we can top the first 15 minutes of the last piece of this conversation. I just don't know how we do it, but we're going to try. All right. Talk to us about the human side of it. So you, in passing, talked about the evolution. We talked a lot about the technology and what it means, but really, how do you see people and I'm talking about the average Joe, in this whole evolution of AI, just in the space that we're in right now?
Yeah. Oh boy. There's a lot I could
like, I know you're about to say, how long do we have here?
right? We got a few minutes. Okay, so I actually wrote something. I'm not gonna read it, but I do want to have it in front of me when I say this because I think it's important. And so I do feel that humanity, as we talk about and grapple with this AI conversation, we're dealing with data paralysis and fragmented understanding. I believe that by and large, and I'll say this, you and I are lucky, Tremain. We have an opportunity to research, to invest, to build.
Yeah.
We have the skill sets and really it's a drive. I don't think either one of us can escape it. I think that's what unites us. Is this drive to create, to build in these systems, especially, I know you refer to yourself as an ecosystem builder, right? And I love this because, and myself, every day in my classroom, I'm building the next generation of the workforce.
Yeah.
I'm challenging them to think about the world that they are entering, even to the point of having conversations about capitalism.
Yeah.
And I introduce them to concepts such as accelerationism, which asks the question, what happens when capitalism explodes? How do we rebuild from those pieces? What constructs or what future constructs could our entire economic system be built off of? And is it based on human working? You know what I mean? One of the questions that has come up in my research has been, what happens when it's no longer relevant or even desired for humanity to work?
Necessary. Yep.
What happens? And so to answer your question, like the lay person, everyday people who are engrossed in their careers, who have a family, just trying to get from breakfast to dinner without herniating anything. I think there's so much data, there's so much information, there's so much going on, and I likened it to a highway. We're all
Okay.
stuck in traffic on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, if you've been in traffic, especially in the DC area, this is a mess. Don't come. Don't deal with it. It's Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago, and the
LA.
DMV, right? LA, exactly. New York. I spent an hour trying to get 3 blocks in New York on New Year's Eve trying to get
Yep.
to a Broadway play. That
Yep.
was
Yep.
terrible.
Ain't
But
nobody gonna
yeah,
argue with you. I mean, I don't care if you from Brooklyn to BK. Listen, do not come for us with this podcast. The traffic is bad and you know it.
exactly. So, but I think let's imagine like we're all in this highway together. We're all trying to move forward in the same direction. But if you think about it, the person in the far left lane needs to get off to the far right to get off. The person in the middle lane is just trying to stop a kid from getting sick in the car. We all have our own kind of micro worlds in our car, and yet we're all backed up in traffic. But if you
Mm-hmm.
zoom out and you go all the way to the front of the line, there's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's a big accident or something crazy. Usually, traffic is caused by our own micro decisions that are causing this consternation and this pressure to try to maneuver and shake and don't get me started on Maryland drivers. But one would say, well, let's widen the lanes. Let's add more lanes. There'll be less traffic.
Mm.
That doesn't work. It's because every single person, we're just adding more people. More people can get on the highway and still be stuck in the same place.
Mm.
But then there's this concept called Bray's paradox. And that is if I'm driving and you know this quite well, Tremaine, the person in front of you taps their brakes, what are you going to do?
You got to tap them, and it's a ripple
You
effect.
gotta tap your brakes. It's a ripple effect. So
Yeah.
if I tap on my brakes 10% and you're right behind me, you may tap on it 20 or 30
Mm-hmm.
because there's no indicator of how much you're braking. It's just
Yeah.
that you're braking.
Yep.
So each and every one of us, as we maneuver through this kind of data-packed, dense world, is just like us all being in traffic in the car, and we're trying to react to the information in front of us, but we don't know if it's true, if it's accurate, what's the cause of it. I can't
Sure.
always see the car in front of me to know if
Mm-hmm.
they've even broken. Because there's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of times I'm like, why are you braking? Nobody's braking around you. But
Yeah.
they may have
Yeah.
something going on in their world causing them to brake. Someone's sick in the car, or they
Yeah.
dropped something, or we have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to use this as an example of how disconnected we are, even though we're all on the highway together, all
Mm.
ostensibly going in the same direction. But there are
Mm-hmm.
exits and on ramps and
Yep.
police
Yep.
and all
Yep.
these other kind of things that kind of stand in the way. So
Mm-hmm.
I use this as an analogy to, at least for myself, to diagnose and to just the misinformation, the confusion, the overwhelming amount of information that we have going on in this point in time, because we haven't prioritized the information, we've prioritized the artificial intelligence to give us answers.
Sure.
But as
Sure.
we all
Sure.
know, dirty data in, dirty data out.
Of course. Of course.
And
Of
AI has
course.
no discernment. So it's
Yep.
not going to be able to decipher unless we as a humanity, as a society, build upon it and make it accurate. But that means our worldview has to change, how we drive.
Yeah.
I was driving with a buddy. I believe in closing the gap. If there's no one in front of me, I'll go, at the pace of traffic.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
technically, I'm working to close the gap, right? Because I don't want that. Friends of mine, the exact opposite mindset. I had
Mm-hmm.
an Uber driver the other day say, with speed limits 35, I'm going to go 25 because that's just what I feel is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone has their own perspective and personality, and right. So this is not a problem. It's just something we have to identify and discuss and align
Yeah.
on how we, as a humanity, as a culture, as a society, as a
Mm.
nation, come together amidst, right, juxtaposed against
Mm-hmm.
this idea that I think has been built in people's minds about AI is this all-seeing, all-knowing, always right,
Yeah. Yeah.
omnipotent
Yeah.
machine that's
Yeah.
way more intelligent, right? The question to keep being raised: our AI is more intelligent than humans, and when we're going to get to artificial super intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if that intelligence has no meaning, and if that intelligence is not correct, and if that
Yeah.
intelligence doesn't represent our worldview,
Yeah.
what purpose does it serve?
What purpose does it serve? Man, this is so good. I mean, I think that on that part of it, the humanities part, and I think this is really, really, really key.
I lost you, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I think my mic. I got my mic here. I might have hit the button. I was just trying to make sure because it blinks. So what I think what you're saying here is so pivotal and so key. It kind of leads me to the question of is like everybody's making the micro decision. Everybody's like you said generally on the same highway of humanity, going generally in the same direction. We're all trying to but since everybody has their own micro ecosystem that they have to manage, their own decisions, that's what's causing the traffic jam. And then the larger, more macro forces that are driving things like some of the misinformation, the miscommunication, these types of things. Like, it just seems like the macro forces, there has to be one of those that is a leverager, to get people going in the right direction. Not going in the right direction. We're already going in the right direction, but give people, the right information. Give people access to the technology. Give people, these types of things because, to your point, if everybody's caught up in their own little micro ecosystem, how does everybody catch up? And then it becomes a technology for the few, not the many. And I think that's the biggest problem with the technology, if you ask me, is that, there's me and there's you, but then there's like literally everybody else, because me and you can't have this conversation with most people that are around us.
Exactly. So my analogy goes further. Introduce Waymo, autonomous driving vehicles. And they're dealing with this huge gap. Because what's happening is you have all these individual drivers, humans, that are making, in their minds, irrational decisions every single day. Then you turn around and you actually have to deal with these autonomous vehicles trying to figure out how to fight through the human wage of drivers. And so as we slowly see this transition of driving, just thinking about that, right, both metaphorically and physical, driving a vehicle on a highway towards in your direction that you're trying to accomplish, and you slowly see a passing of that responsibility to machines. But we're the ones training it. So again, 12 months or 12 years from now, maybe, you've seen this on Black Mirror, humans will be outlawed from driving vehicles.
Yeah, iRobot,
Exactly. So what will happen when humans can no longer drive their own vehicles? And that's completely an autonomous. And we have smart roads, and we have the vehicles can communicate with each other, so they know when there's traffic, they know what's happening. The system has become smart, and it no longer relies on the volatility of human emotion and responsiveness, and etc. If one breaks for whatever reason, the entire chain knows to break and how much, based on our example. I don't have the answer yet, but do we believe that will entirely solve traffic? We taught it. We built the system. And you go even broader, are roads even the right solution? Do we need to just go in the air?
Yeah, right.
Why do we have traffic lights, roundabouts, these systems, right? And I think that's an important thing to call out. They're building autonomous roads, or we're building autonomous cars, but not autonomous roads. We're building something to stack on top of stuff we already built, not rethinking, was this the right thing to build in the first place?
No, 100%, and that's a future thought process that we are just not having. That's why the first part of this conversation was so mind blowing, because it's a whole, thought process that is just outside of the realm of even what's being considered right now. And again, there's historical, use cases and value that we can pull on. You think about when these roads and the interstate systems and all the stuff that we're talking about now were even built. We're talking about the 50s and, it was built at a time where there are 5 times as many cars on the road than when that system was built, but it's the same system. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, when do you just rethink the system?
Yep.
Because, that's literally why, and, you love him or hate him, Elon Musk, but that's one of the reasons why, whether it worked or not, why he was talking about the Boring Company, why he's talking about tunneling. He's just like, hey, roads are in 2D, buildings are in 4, 5, 6, 7D with, they go up 20 stories. Why can't roads go up 20 stories? He's asking some of the right questions. Like I said, love him or hate him, but it's so true. At what point do we rethink the system itself? And to calibrate for the technology, because the technology, to your point earlier, is just a stepping stone to the next evolution of human whatever we are, whatever we're going to be, but how does the system even end up getting revamped to match
Exactly.
what that progression looks like?
And I have to say that as humans, we have an aversion to change. When I think about, funny, you mentioned Tesla or Nikolai Tesla, he wanted to produce a wireless electric system that would run the world. But capitalism got in the way. Right, and and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think I saw online that the FBI had collected some of his files and they released them on their website now. They've declassified them, and it's like,
Yep.
why would
Yep.
electric? You know what I mean? Why would a wireless electricity be a concern? But okay, we'll go with that. But the idea is that yes, even in history, I've read somewhere that there was one point in time after I think World War II. Don't quote me entirely, but the concept I think remains the same, that the U.S. was considering closing the patent office because there was nothing new that could be invented.
That's crazy.
Sit with that for a moment.
Yes, that's crazy.
So there will always be a wrestling, right? But
Yeah.
but then that raises the question, Elon Musk, not Elon, Jeff Bezos got in trouble. His chief advisor, as he was building Amazon, came to him and said, "Hey, Jeff, you're doing too much too fast. You have enough ideas to destroy this company."
Oh yeah. I know this story.
And I loved it because, of course, he slowed down. He started journaling. He started writing out his ideas and maturing
Yeah.
them. But Jeff Bezos, as an innovator, turned around and said, "Well, how do I create a company that's capable of handling new ideas at a quicker pace?"
Yeah, to rethink the system.
Had to rethink the system, and I think that's what I'm inviting us all to do. And to your point, I'm blessed and honored to have the time to research these things, to ask these questions, and I know that it's not common. But understanding what I understand now about foresight is that it is not common, but that doesn't mean it's not buildable. We all don't have six packs and abs, at least I don't, but that doesn't mean I can't get it, right?
Yeah.
And if I
Yeah.
could tie this back to the conversation about AI, I think a lot of people are out here racing to master AI, like you would master, a PMP, or to know how to use Excel and to know certain things. But I think we need to shift our mindset. Just as a society, the way I'm saying it, to ask questions is a muscle.
Yeah.
Use your
Yeah.
AI time as gym time. I'm just practicing.
Yeah.
I'm just doing my reps. I'm just getting in this exercise to stretch my mind, to understand how these tools work, what they can do. And once you see that, you know that, okay, my bicep, this works, this cable machine works this, I can do, the different machines do different things. The same way with AI, the same thing with the different questions that you'll ask, but you're working your mind out.
Yeah, man, this has been such a rich conversation. Oh my gosh. All right, let's wrap it up. So final thoughts, final thoughts. I mean, and I know you can go a lot of different ways on the final thoughts piece of it, but just kind of tracking on what we've discussed today,
Yeah.
kind of tie a bow on it for the average listener that's going to hop up on this podcast. They're going to be so intrigued by all of the things that we're talking about. How do you tie a bow or tie these things together, to bring us home?
Bring us home. Okay, so if I could leave you with any simple, lasting thought, it really would be to really think about who you are, what
Okay.
information you have or have access to or want to know, and maybe start simply, right? Because I don't fully know the audience, but I'm going to assume that maybe everyone maybe tried AI a couple times here and there. But I would encourage you to find one opportunity that you think, based on your understanding so far of AI, could solve or could give you some time back or allow you to have more time with your family. Something that could be automated and repeated. And I would encourage you to just try out 2 to 3 different AI models for the same thing. Give it the prompt, explain, and tell it to ask you questions. Tell it to push back. Tell it to challenge you. And see which AI model responds in a way that can respond to. I hosted an event on campus for my students, or for the College of Business, and I called it Prompt School. And I introduced it to them 7 different prompting frameworks. And yes, there are certified frameworks that you can use to prompt
Sure.
and get information in context, which is all key. So for everyone here, I'm giving you homework. Sorry, it's the professor in me. Take some time, find an opportunity, and present it with your problems, your concerns, and let it come back to you with solutions, and try different models. It is not a one size fits all. Some of us prefer Copilot, some of us prefer Claude, some of us prefer GPT, some prefer Gemini, Perplexity. I mean, the list goes on. Grok, right? I've already listed 6 or 7. If you haven't used them to try to understand how they work, how they were built, and what problems they were built to solve, you are truly missing out on an opportunity that could transform not only how you look at the world, but how you're able to accomplish the things on your list. We all have a crazy long to-do list. The world is moving faster and faster and faster, and work is becoming more and more ingratiated in our lives. The more we can leverage our tools, just like you would use a calculator to do math, use AI to solve a simple problem and see how you can do it repeatably, how you can build a structure or build a system. So that's your homework.
Oh man, that is amazing. That is amazing, man. Let's give it up for Jeremy, y'all. I wish that somebody could throw some emojis in the, but this is not that type of scenario. So,
Right?
hey man, where can the people find you, Jeremy, if they want to connect with you?
Oh my word! You can find me at depends on which facet, right? So as a professor, I speak at conferences, I do all sorts of workshops. I'm actually doing one in a couple of weeks for the Capital Readiness Program. It will be entirely about how to use AI for your business. It's targeting small business owners. That's in a couple of weeks in July. So you can certainly find me there. I actually have a keynote with the Cybersecurity Summit in Minneapolis in October. You can certainly find me there talking about AI and cybersecurity. Again, it's a critical space for understanding the delta between what we rely on humans and what we pass to a system. And I think all of that can be found in my personal kind of academic speaking website, treadwell.io. And then if you are interested in working with us in our cyberspace, again, we have our product and our platform that focuses on the human risk element, and then we are introducing an AI element to that, which will be really powerful. You can find us at simciasecurity.com. And other than that, I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn primarily is where most of my posts go. But I will say, really stay close to my Substack. There's some beautiful things that I'm building and a community that I'm putting together to help people really move from that vision, defining what it is that they're looking to build or accomplish and complete, to voyage, to getting up off the couch, getting up out the door, and moving forward with momentum and clarity and purpose, and how you can learn to see the unexpected through personal foresight and driving your personal vision, right? As a 7X founder, as a builder, as a professor, as a master communicator, I really enjoy helping people not only clarify, you have your purpose, but my goal is to help you clarify it and help you drive forward with precision.
I love it. I love it. All right, you guys got to connect with Jeremy. He is amazing, as you guys can see. His wealth and body of work, his wealth of knowledge, body of work are incredible. I learn so much from you every time we talk. And I got to get you back to our conference. You spoke at our conference in February. Yeah, I got to see if I can plug that right now. So I'm going to put you on spot in front of the people, see if I can get you to commit to next February.
Not a problem. Anything for you, brother.
All right, so y'all heard it there. Y'all heard it there. All right, everybody. This has been another great and amazing episode of the AIU podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. We're here with Mr. Jeremy Treadwell. Please connect with him so that you can continue this conversation. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Have a good one.